Hi, second grade. I hope you all had a great weekend. Today, we are going to do a math lesson for Monday, April 20th, 2020, day 14 of your packet. We are going to start with some fluency. Today, we are going to be doing fluency that focuses on our units. You are going to have to be changing between ones, tens, and hundreds. I want you to pause the video while you try to solve these problems, and then we'll go over them together. 100 equals blank ones. We know that 100 is the same as 100 ones. 100 equals blank tens. Think about how many tens make up 100. You know that 10 tens make up 100. 150 equals blank ones. We know that in 150, there are 150 ones. 150 equals blank tens. Don't get tricked just because there is a 5 in the tens place. Remember that we are also going to have to convert the 100 into tens. Since we know that there are 10 tens in 100, and there's 5 more tens for 50, we have 10 tens plus 5 tens. 10 plus 5 is 15. So 150 is 15 tens. 103 tens equals 103 tens is the same as 30. So it's the same as 130. 535 ones. 535. 535. 10 tens and 65 ones. I know that 10 tens is the same as 100, and 65 ones is going to make it 165. 20 tens and 83 ones. I know that 10 tens is 100, so 10 more tens would be 200. So we have 283 ones is going to make it 283. Way to go. Now we are going to look over one of the application problems for the day. This is in your packet, so you can do it along with me. Let's read the problem together. There are 136 students in the second grade at Miles Davis Elementary. 27 of them brought bag lunches to school. The rest buy the hot lunch. How many students are buying a hot lunch? What do we know? What is the important information? Pause the video and fill out the important information that you find in that question. I think one piece of important information is that there are 136 students. I'm going to put an S for students. Another important piece of information is that 27 of them brought lunches. Brought bag lunches. I'm going to put a right bag. What are we trying to find? What is the question? What is the unit? Pause the video and take a minute to fill this out in your packet. We are trying to find how many students bought a hot lunch. So I'm going to write hot lunch with a question mark. That's what we're trying to find. And the unit is the same. The unit is talking about hot lunches. Sorry, my handwriting is messy. It's hard writing on the computer. Let's look at the next box. How will we use this information to solve the problem? This is where we need to think about what equation we will use to solve the problem. Will we be adding or will we be subtracting? It always helps me to think about what we know. what information we know from the top box. We know that there are 136 students. That's my whole. So I'm going to put that in the top of a number bond because that's going to help me think about what type of equation I should write. Where there's 136 students altogether. And I know that 27 of them brought bag lunches. But I don't know how many bought hot lunches. Am I missing a part or a whole? If you said I'm missing a part, you're right. When we are missing a part, do we add or do we subtract? If you said we subtract, you're right again. So we are going to start our equation, our subtraction equation with the whole, 136. Again, I'm sorry, my handwriting is messy. And we're going to take away 27, the part we know. And we're going to find our missing part. I wrote this equation horizontally, but I want you to write it vertically so you can solve it using one of our second grade strategies, either using the vertical equation or also making a place value chart to help you. I can tell just by looking at this equation that you are going to have to unbundle. Go ahead and solve the problem in the empty box and make sure that you write your answer in a full second grade sentence, starting with a capital letter, putting punctuation at the end, and using the unit of hot lunches. Send your teacher a picture of the problem when you are all done. On Friday, we started talking about telling time, and we talked about how on a clock, we really look at minutes in increments of 5. So today we are going to practice counting by 5s again, so we can make sure that we do our best when we're looking at a clock telling time or when we're filling in a clock. I have a hundreds chart here, and as you can see, all the numbers, all the 5s are in different colors. So you can count along with me as we practice counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I'm going to stop right here because we know that there are only 60 minutes in an hour. We go up to 100 on our hundreds chart because we know 10 and 100 are special math numbers. But like we talked about on Friday, telling time is tricky, because 10 and 100 are not the most important numbers when telling time. We always need to remember the number 60 because there are 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute. Now that we practice counting by 5s, we can practice counting by 5s on the clock. Now I see the hours filled in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I see the marks for the minutes, but the minutes aren't filled in. So I'm going to write them on this clock so we can practice. Take a minute to think where we'll start. It's tricky, but where the 12 is really going to be like it's 0 minutes. And from there, we start counting. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and at the 1 is our first 5 minutes. Now we can start counting by 5s. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. We get to 30 minutes when we are halfway around the clock. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. But remember, when we get to 60 minutes, we start a new hour. So that's why it's 0. Great job. Remember, you can also count your minutes by ones, but it takes longer. And really, when you look at a clock, you want to be able to use these hours 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 to help you be able to quickly tell the time, also with the minutes. Now we are going to go over some important vocabulary for when we're telling time. Everybody say quarter. We've talked about that word when it comes to money. A quarter is a coin that is worth 25 cents. But a quarter also has other meanings. In this circle, you can see that it's split into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. One of the sections is green. A quarter of the circle is green. 1 out of the 4 sections is green. That's a quarter of the circle. 25 cents, the coin, is called a quarter because 4 of them make $1. So when we are talking about a quarter, we are talking about 1 out of 4. So on a clock, it is a quarter hour when the minute hand is a quarter way around the clock. Here we see the minute hand pointing to the 3. Remember, the minute hand is the long one. I'm going to draw a box like the green one in this circle. And you can see that the minute hand has gone a quarter of the way around the clock. I'll color it in a little bit so you can try to see it with me. It has gone a quarter of the way around the clock. So that is called a quarter. When we talk about a quarter in telling time, there can be a quarter after or a quarter to or a quarter till. This first clock over here says a quarter after. The time is 2:15. 15 minutes have passed, and as you can see, just like before, the minute hand has made its way a quarter of a way around the clock. 15 minutes have passed. A quarter of an hour has passed. So if somebody was looking at this clock, instead of saying it's 2:15, they might say it is a quarter after 2. Practice saying that with me. A quarter after 2. That's the same as 2:15. On this next clock, you can see that the minute hand isn't pointing to the 3. Instead, it's pointing to the 9. It's a different quarter of the clock. The minute hand has made it all the way around 45 minutes. At the 9 is 45 minutes. But there is a quarter of the clock that it hasn't gone past yet. So instead of being a quarter after, it's a quarter to. So in this clock, for example, we look at the hour hand and we see it's in between the 1 and the 2. So we go to the hour that comes before. So it's 1:45. We could also say it's a quarter to 2. It's a quarter until 2. There is a quarter of the clock that it has not passed yet. Another important word when it comes to telling time is half. Now in this circle, you can see that it is split into 2 pieces. One of the pieces is colored green. Half of the circle is green. On the clock, you can see that the minute hand is at the 6. The minute hand has made its way halfway around the clock. It is halfway through the hour. When it's at the 6, it means that there has been 30 minutes. And we know that 30 minutes is half of 60. It's half of an hour. When the minute hand is at the 6, when it's half like that, you say half past. So here on this clock, let's see if we can tell what time it is. We start by looking at the hour hand. I see that the hour hand is in between the 8 and the 9. When it's in between 2 hours, we go to the hour that comes before. So it's the 8. So I'm going to write 8 and then I'm going to put my 2 dots, 8, and I know that the minute hand is at 30, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it's 8:30. The other way I could say 8:30 is 8:30. Practice saying that with me. 8:30. So when you look at a clock and you see that the minute hand is at the 6, instead of always saying 30 minutes, you can also say half past. Great job telling time with me today. You are going to get to practice on the clocks in your packet. Make sure to send a picture of your work to your teacher. Way to go, second grade.